On the Trail of Petals, a Hanahaki alternate universe, Adrienette Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction, Part 11. Marinette squeezed Alia's hand. This was her first checkup, not being alone, and it was rather comforting to have someone with her. Alia had been such a wonderful friend throughout the past month. Not that she expected anything different. Marinette always knew that she could count on Alia. "Hello, you must be Alia," Tiki said when she came in. She and Alia shook hands. "Yeah, thank you for taking care of her," Alia said with a smile. Marinette breathed in. Her pre-appointment nerves had never really gone away. Then again, when you were getting constant updates on a life-threatening disease, when were things never nerve-wracking? Tiki gathered some papers in her hands and took in a breath. "I have your results, but to confirm, I have to listen to your heart," she said, putting on her stethoscope. She listened closely as Marinette breathed. Unfortunately, when she pulled away, there was a sad look on her face. "The flower has progressed a lot, much more than expected," she said, now showing them the x-rays. Alia gasped at this huge intrusion in Marinette's lungs. "You may only have a couple of weeks left. I'm advising you to think about the cures. It isn't too late to talk to Adrian, and that would be the best plan of action. Or decide how you feel about removing the flower itself," Tiki said. Marinette closed her eyes, willing the tears to not fall. "Okay," she said in a deceitfully calm voice. Marinette looked up at Alia. Blue eyes met brown. The end was coming. The trip home was silent. Only wordless smiles passed through the girls. They held their hands tightly. "Please, can you just think about telling him?" Alia said when they were in the safety of their own home. Marinette bit her lip. "I know you don't want to hurt Adrian and Kagami's relationship, but your matter is a bit more pressing than that," she continued. "I will think about it," Marinette promised. Alia bit her lip nervously. "In the meantime, do you want to bake those cookies?" Marinette jumped up and shouted, "Yes!" In all fairness, she did think about the cure. Telling Adrian was out of the question. That didn't change. But more so, Marinette thought about getting the flower removed. The idea of living a life without love was so foreign to her, it kind of scared her. She was a deeply feeling girl, clearly. Her childhood had been full of joy and two living, loving parents who admittedly didn't even know their daughter was weeks away from passing. But it was smiles every day and night. Marinette had always had searing crushes as a kid. Love had come naturally to her. What would it be like to not feel it? As some people online said, to feel half empty inside. Certainly people could live happy lives without love. After lots of research, Marinette had come across aromantic people. They lived their whole lives without romantic feelings, and they were just as happy as any other. But that was because they had never felt the crazy and crushing feeling of love. Marinette had that feeling before. She was feeling it now. Previously, she loved the feeling of being in love. She wanted to be in love in the future. Ensuring she had one, she'd lose that. Love, it made life worth living, didn't it? Love, a general love even. A life without love is no life at all, only endless breathing and existing. She needed love to truly live. Love for someone or her friends. Marinette was putting her foot down. Despite what Alia and maybe her doctor would have pleaded, there was no way she was getting that flower removed. She wasn't going to ruin her chances of ever being in love again. This was If this was her last, so be it. Marinette didn't want to be an empty shell with no love in her heart. She didn't want to feel hollow. She had a life with love right now. It would just have to be good all the way up to the end. Marinette was not going to let them do the surgery. Sunday morning at 9:24 a.m. was kind of a strange time to call, especially for Adrienne. Marinette looked at her phone curiously and picked it up. Hello? Is there something that you need? Adrienne chattered something from the other line, but the wind was covering most of it. All she caught was that he needed to know if she was free and if he could stop by quickly. Sure, she said. He chimed a, okay. She looked around the kitchen tiredly, seeing if they had any baked goods in stock. Luckily, she and Alia had been doing much more baking, and now they had an assortment of breads and tarts to give him whenever he came over. A couple of minutes later, Marinette heard the doorbell ring and walked over to open it. Hey, Adrienne, what did you need? Her eyes landed on the girl next to Adrienne's side, and Marinette felt her heart sink. Oh. He wanted her to meet Kagami. Oh, goodness. She was meeting Kagami, and without Alia? This was not going to be good. Marinette bit her lip and composed herself. She was really going to have to bring on the happy smile today. You must be Kagami, Marinette said in a joyful voice. Kagami gave her a small smile and polite nod. Marinette motioned for her to come in and sit down. Taking a quick breath, Marinette closed the door and looked at Adrienne with a smile. His expression was overjoyed. He was really excited for them to meet, clearly. I'm very happy to meet you, Marinette said. Kagami nodded, looking around the apartment a bit. It is very nice to meet you as well, the Japanese girl said. She stuck out a hand for Marinette to shake, much to the latter's surprise. My name is Kagami Tsurugi, she spoke in a very professional tone. Marinette's eyebrows raised in surprise, but recovered quickly. Marinette! Kagami's handshake was certainly firm. Without a doubt, she was a serious person. I have heard about you, Kagami commented. Marinette bit her lip. You have? I guess it makes sense, she said, blushing a bit. He's mentioned you a lot too, Marinette said with a smile. Kagami nodded at her. I've heard from Adrienne that you fence. Another nod from the girl in front of her. Yes, I do. I have been training for 12 years, she said in almost a hurt tone. Really? I guess the fact that Adrienne used a fence too is good for you guys, since he understands the everything that you're doing. Have you done any instruments? Or tournaments? Have you done any tournaments? She asked. Kagami gave her a wordless eyebrow raise, as if to say, Did you really just ask me that question? Yes, I have, she said politely. I have won a fair share of an amount of them. It took many hours of work and training and focus. Marinette nodded. What else was she supposed to say? She prayed that Alia would come home to take her out of this awkward misery. She looked at Adrienne quickly. Him being himself didn't even notice the awkward air and just smiled happily at Kagami and her. He probably thought they were getting along fabulously. Not that they weren't getting along, it was just, it was weird. It was just all really weird. Marinette was getting a very strange feeling from Kagami. Perhaps it was hesitancy or suspicion. If it was the latter, Marinette wanted to laugh and tell her that she would literally rather die than mess up their relationship. After a very short and idle 10 minutes of conversation, Adrienne had to go take a call and left the table. At once, Kagami's gaze locked onto hers. Her eyes were unreadable and firm. "He talks a lot about you," she said. Marinette smiled nervously. "He does?" Kagami nodded in confirmation. "Yes, you two seem to be very close friends." Adrienne was rather excited this morning. The girl in front of her continued. Marinette shifted in her seat. Okay, it was very clear that Kagami was suspicious of her. "Oh yeah, he's always wanted me to meet you. I hear about you a lot as well," Marinette said. There was a slight upturn of Kagami's lips. The smile was what it probably was. "He speaks about me to you and the rest of your posse," she said. Marinette bit her lip at the word posse. Okay, why? It was just such a strange word to use to refer to her and Nino and Alia. "Oh, definitely. Adrienne was overjoyed when he told us that you said yes to him asking you out. Half of what we talk about is you," Marinette said, hoping to ease some more of Kagami's concerns. She definitely looked nervous. "Really?" "Absolutely." A fuller smile made its way onto Kagami's face. She looked relieved, more relaxed. Marinette smiled kindly at her. Though everything on the inside of her body was screaming with pain, she couldn't help but smile and be happy and act like everything was okay. "I'm not competition in any way." She almost winced when saying that. "He really likes you. I'm not trying to get in the middle of that, ever. I don't want to be your enemy." Kagami gave her a small "thank you." Marinette nodded. "You're nervous and worried, aren't you?" She nodded. "I can tell. Why is that?" Kagami took in a breath. "Will it bother you if I say it?" she asked. Marinette shook her head quickly. "Not a chance." "Adrienne, he is a very kind and good person. He knows his emotions well and understands them. I don't. I've been told that I don't express emotion well. I don't get them at times. I'm worried that it's going to be difficult and that it won't work," Kagami admitted. She looked totally defeated and scared and fearful. Was she taught to never show emotion? "Kagami, you don't need to understand emotions to its fullest extent to be in a happy relationship. What you need to know is whether or not you like him and if you want to be with him. And I can tell that you know that. If you know that, don't worry more, because you know all that you need to know to be with him. And being different is okay. It's normal. It might make you clash a little bit, but it's not going to be something you can't overcome if you work at it. Relationships take time and effort and hard work. Things you clearly can do. You're going to find a balance, and it's all going to work out for you guys," Marinette said with a smile. Even if this was going to seal her fate, she didn't want to be selfish. She wanted to help Kagami and Adrienne as best as she could. She wanted them to be happy, for him to be happy, whether it was with her or not. And the situation right now was not with her. Adrienne was happy with Kagami. She wasn't going to be reason for him not to be. You're a very kind person, Marinette. I see why Adrienne loves you so much as a friend, Kagami commented with a calm look. Ignoring the stab to her heart at being called a friend, Marinette flashed her a smile. I try, she said. Kagami took a small bite of the cupcake that Marinette had nudged her way. This is very good. Sweet, but good. Score. Everyone loved her cupcakes. It was just a thing. After 30 minutes or so, Kagami had to go back to training, so she and Adrian headed out the door and on their way. I'm so glad you guys are friends. I knew you'd like her. She can come with us to movie night, right? Adrian asked her with excitement. Marinette mustered a smile towards him at the door. Yeah, of course, she said, feeling the sick feeling in her stomach. Adrian and Nino had practically begged the girls to do a movie marathon in the coming weeks as a finale of a series that was coming to a close. Ollie and Marinette were hesitant to agree because the movie was supposed to come out in over 3 weeks in the future. They said they didn't know if they would have the time. In reality, they didn't think Marinette would have that much time. But the boys coerced them into agreeing. It was a strange, ironic twist. Kagami would be replacing her spot whenever the movie night was to come. Bye, Marinette. Thanks for the croissants. See you in class, Adrian called over his shoulder with a wide grin. Marinette felt petals rising in her throat. Oh God, she did not have much time. Bye, she said weakly, slamming the door closed and rushing to the bathroom. Oh Lord, did that seriously just happen? In 3 violent coughs, the first round of flower petals spit out of her mouth and into the no longer clear bowl. She was here, on the ground, forced to stare down the red and pink pieces of physical truth of her unrequited love. Another cough racked her, and this time she could feel the flowers pushing in her chest. It was definitely growing faster than it had been before. Just wonderful, wonderful, she gasped in a breath and fell to the side, barely breathing with every deep intake. She had weeks, technically, but she wasn't so sure now. Was this going to be the end?